My HOA president demanded I vacate my home in 12 hours, but she had no idea who was sitting at my kitchen table, ready to expose her. The evening air was thick with an unsettling quiet, a strange calm before a storm I couldn't have imagined. Then, a violent rapping tore through the silence at exactly 7:13 p.m., shaking my whole doorframe. My heart pounded. Peeking through the tiny hole, I saw them. 3 stern-faced HOA council members, clipboards clutched like shields, a flashlight beam slicing through the dusk like a searchlight. And there she was, at the front, the true empress of our neighborhood, Veronica Sterling, our HOA president. Her arms were clamped so tight across her chest I worried for her circulation, and her lips were a thin, angry line, as if she'd just devoured a whole sour lemon, peel and all. What could she possibly want? I cautiously unlatched the door, a cold dread already settling in. This felt like a battle I was already losing. Before I could even murmur a greeting, Veronica practically jabbed a stapled letter into my chest, making me stagger back. Her voice, dripping with an utterly misplaced triumph, boomed, "Mr. Harper, you have precisely 12 hours to vacate this property. A prospective buyer has expressed keen interest, and we simply must maintain Sycamore Falls market appeal." My mind reeled. Was I dreaming? Was this some twisted prank? The other council members shifted awkwardly behind her, avoiding my gaze like children caught in a lie, clearly uncomfortable with Veronica's audacity. The entire scene was utterly bizarre, like a bad sitcom, yet Veronica's steely eyes told me she was terrifyingly serious. Let me introduce myself properly. I'm Ethan Harper, a 43-year-old software engineer, a man who truly keeps to himself. My sanctuary is my backyard koi pond, a labor of love I built over 3 summers, and my simple pleasure is a craft beer on my porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon. I'm hardly flashy, never loud. I am by any measure the most invisible man in our little cul-de-sac. I pay my bills on the dot. My lawn is always trimmed to the precise 2 3/4 inch height the HOA dictates, and I've never uttered a single complaint about my neighbors, not even when the Johnsons host their infamous quarterly karaoke parties that echo until 2 a.m. And then there was Veronica, my personal tormentor. She had somehow twisted the HOA presidency into her own petty dictatorship. Everyone in Sycamore Falls knew her infamy, those mandatory wellness yoga sessions she'd force on us in the cul-de-sac at 5 a.m. sharp, complete with attendance sheets and fines for anyone who dared to miss them. Can you believe it? She once even slapped a $25 ticket on a group of kids for drawing chalk flowers on the sidewalk, calling it defacing community property. Her unchecked power trip had been raging for 3 years, mostly because the rest of us were too worn out from our jobs to challenge her endless absurd rules. This whole nightmare, like all truly terrible things, began subtly. 6 months ago, Veronica started sending me what she charmingly called courtesy notices about my garden gnomes. She claimed they were politically suggestive, which was hilarious considering they were just standard gnomes holding fishing rods and wearing pointy hats. Next came the outrageous accusation that my beloved koi pond was an unlicensed aquatic facility needing permits and health inspections. I just laughed it off, thinking surely she couldn't be serious about my fish. But by the time she stood on my porch that evening, brandishing her insane eviction notice, she'd escalated to claiming the HOA had the absolute legal right to forcibly reassign homes to new buyers who would supposedly better maintain property values. She actually bragged about it, a sickeningly smug smile plastered across her face, crowing, "We have a client touring your property tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. sharp. The moving truck can transport your belongings to our approved storage facility. It's all about efficiency, Mr. Harper. Sycamore Falls must remain competitive in today's real estate market." The nerve. Summoning every ounce of composure, I stared at her. "Have you completely lost your mind?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She simply tapped the letter with a manicured finger, assuring me that everything was perfectly legal and had been approved in a special closed-door session of the HOA board. The other board members offered weak, nervous nods, but I saw Sarah, from 2 houses down, looking absolutely green with anxiety like she might be sick. What Veronica couldn't have known, what she never could have anticipated, was that my brother-in-law, Officer Mark Miller, was sitting at my kitchen table at that very moment. Mark, a county sheriff with 15 years under his belt, had stopped by after his shift to help me install a new garbage disposal. He was casually sipping a beer and scrolling through his phone when I walked back inside, my face a mask of utter confusion and disbelief. As I read the ludicrous vacate order aloud, Mark burst into such uproarious laughter that he actually choked on the pretzel he was eating. I had to pound him on the back as he coughed and wheezed, tears streaming down his face from the combination of choking and sheer hysterical mirth. Once he finally caught his breath, wiping his eyes, he adopted his official sheriff's tone, a serious glint replacing the laughter. "Ethan," he declared, What you're holding right there is solid evidence of criminal fraud and attempted extortion. This isn't just illegal, it's spectacularly illegal." Mark immediately got on the phone, and within an astonishing hour, we had unraveled the full shocking extent of Veronica's despicable scheme. The HOA's supposed buyer turned out to be none other than Veronica's slimy cousin, Chad, a shady realtor who had been trying to flip houses on the cheap for years. Their plan? Breathtakingly, insultingly stupid in its sheer audacity. They would terrorize homeowners into abandoning their properties, then Chad would swoop in, buying them at dirt-cheap prices through mysterious cash offers, only to flip them for monstrous profits. Officer Mark grimly explained that their actions weren't merely a violation of HOA bylaws, which explicitly state the association has zero authority over property ownership, but also a breach of numerous state and federal laws. He rattled off terms like wire fraud, conspiracy, and racketeering, each word making my eyes widen with disbelief and growing horror. Apparently the sheriff's department was very interested in this particular case, especially since there had been 3 other suspicious rapid home sales in Sycamore Falls over the past year. The department wasted no time, reporting the entire criminal enterprise to both the district attorney's office and the state real estate commission. Within 48 hours, investigators descended upon the HOA office like a relentless swarm of highly organized bees. They seized computers, filing cabinets, and countless boxes of documents. Veronica, in a last-ditch effort, tried to block their entry, spreading her arms wide in the doorway. But she quickly discovered that obstruction of justice was just another charge she could add to her rapidly expanding list. Just like that, Veronica's iron-fisted reign over Sycamore Falls began to crumble, faster than a dry cookie in a toddler's grip. The other council members, who had endured years of her tyrannical wrath, immediately turned informant, eagerly cooperating with the investigators. They produced damning emails where Veronica had chillingly referred to homeowners as inventory that needed to be moved. They handed over documents revealing she had actually drafted detailed eviction schedules for every single house on our street, complete with projected profit margins for her cousin Chad. Sarah, the anxious council member from my doorstep, confessed that Veronica had threatened daily lawn violation citations unless she went along with the scheme. Another member, Daniel, divulged that Veronica had been siphoning HOA funds to pay for her personal legal consultations on how to make these fraudulent evictions appear legitimate. The evidence mounted relentlessly, like a furious blizzard, each new discovery more damning than the last. The investigation unearthed that Veronica had fabricated fake HOA bylaws, forged signatures on official documents, and even attempted to file fraudulent liens against properties to force sales. She had meticulously planned this for over 2 years, attending real estate law seminars not to learn the rules but to uncover every loophole she thought she could exploit. Investigators even found a chilling notebook where she had literally mapped out a 5-year plan to seize control of the entire neighborhood, one forced sale at a time. The sheer audacity. 3 weeks after that surreal, terrifying encounter at my door, the HOA held an emergency meeting at the community center. The room was packed to the rafters, people lining the walls and spilling into the hallway. Everyone was there, eager to witness the inevitable. Veronica sat at the council table, still attempting to project an aura of authority, though her usually flawless hair was disheveled and her designer blazer looked like she'd slept in it. The meeting had barely begun when 2 uniformed police officers strode in, their presence instantly silencing the buzzing room. They approached Veronica, paperwork in hand, and one officer's clear, professional voice echoed, "Veronica Sterling, you are under arrest for 7 felony charges, including fraud, forgery, conspiracy to commit fraud, and attempted real estate theft." Veronica's attempted defense was so utterly preposterous it would have been comedic if it wasn't so pathetic. She shot to her feet, her chair screeching loudly against the floor, and declared in a shaky voice, "This is merely community spirit. I was striving to enhance our neighborhood values. You are all far too short-sighted to grasp my vision." The room erupted. Laughter, loud and uninhibited, rippled through her own neighbors, the very people who had cowered under her tyranny for years, finally free to voice their true thoughts. As the officers snapped handcuffs onto her wrists, she tried one last desperate plea, claiming she had immunity as HOA president. The lead investigator, who had been observing by the door, actually snorted with laughter, informing her that HOA presidents do not, in fact, possess diplomatic immunity, regardless of what she might have read on some obscure internet forum. The ultimate triumph, the true cherry on top of this delicious sundae of justice, came when the county announced they were seizing her prized white Lexus SUV, the one flaunting the vanity plate HOA boss, to cover the escalating legal costs of the investigation. Her cousin Chad was apprehended the same day at his real estate office, where investigators uncovered detailed plans for their scheme, including a spreadsheet ominously titled Acquisition Targets, with my house brazenly listed as Phase 1 Easy Mark. He tried to feign innocence, claiming he was just a helpful realtor assisting his cousin with community development, but the 47 text messages they'd exchanged discussing how to pressure that nerd Harper painted a very different picture. The trial was swift and utterly decisive. The prosecutor presented such an avalanche of overwhelming evidence that Veronica's own lawyer appeared defeated before the proceedings even began. Email after email was read aloud, each more incriminating than the last. One, written by Veronica to Chad, stood out. "These idiots will sign anything if we scare them enough. Start with Harper. He is too quiet to fight back." That particular email earned her a torrent of angry glares from the gallery, especially from me. The judge, a no-nonsense woman who had undoubtedly witnessed every conceivable criminal excuse throughout her career, was utterly unmoved by Veronica's preposterous claim of performing a public service. She calmly pointed out that attempting to steal people's homes was generally not considered a charitable act, no matter how one tried to spin it. The judge's expression, when Veronica tried to argue that she hadn't technically stolen anything yet because I hadn't actually moved out, is a memory I will cherish forever. Veronica was ultimately convicted on all 7 felony counts. The judge sentenced her to 3 years in state prison, though she will likely serve 18 months with good behavior plus 5 years of probation. She was also ordered to pay a staggering $200,000 in restitution to the homeowners she had harassed and attempted to defraud. When the sentence was read, Veronica's face underwent a stunning, rapid transformation, from utter disbelief to blazing anger, then to complete broken devastation, all in a mere 3 seconds. As the chilling reality finally sank in, her reign of terror had cost her everything.